Can I ask you about Nancy Mace? She proposed a resolution that would bar foreign-born individuals from serving in Congress. What do you think about that? She mentioned you as an example. What's your response to that?
Good luck to her.
So you don't think it will go anywhere?
No.
And also, Randy Fine has one about giving up. If you're a dual citizen, you have to give up your citizenship in the other country and renounce it. What do you think about that?
Who's that?
Randy Fine.
Oh.
What if Congress suddenly changed the rules and banned foreign-born Americans from serving in Congress? And what would that mean for lawmakers like ILHAN Omar?
Minnesota Rep. ILHAN Omar pledges her allegiance to Somalia, then to Islam, and says that her primary role in U.S. Congress is to protect Somali interests.
Annaga haddii aan nahay dad Soomaali ah, waxaan nahay dad isjecel. Waa laga yaabaa meelaha qaarkood inaan isku xagxagano, laakiin haddii runtii ay imaato waxaan nahay dad isku tashto, dad walaalo ah, dad dhiig lah, dad isku og inay Soomaali yihiin, inay Muslim yihiin, oo iyagana isku hiiliya, dadka walaalahoodna u hiiliya. Marka daraad ayaan dhexdaas markii aan maqalnay in qaar Soomaali ah ama Soomaali sheegato in Ethiopia ay la galeen ma baqaan af Soomaali wixii lagu dhaho agreement heshiis Maxamuud Nuur had aniga Soomaaliga badiyo maaha dad badan ay soo wacay oo waxay leeyihiin ilhaan dawladda Mareykanka inaan la hadasho waaye dawladda Mareykanka maxay ka qabanaysaa jawaabteedu waxay ahayd dawladda Mareykanka waxay ka qabanaysaa wixii anaga aan dhahno dawladda Mareykanka qabo waa kalsoonidaas inaan isku qabno anaga Soomaali haddii aan nahay wadankan anaga ku nool wadankan wadankii aan anaga tax ka dhiibno waaye waa wadankii gabar idinka dhalatayne ee Congress ka fadhiso intii aniga aan Congress joogo wadanka Soomaaliya biyaheeda dad kaleeta iyo badeeda dad kale ma qaadanayaan.
Remember years ago when she petitioned for a judge to give a lenient sentence to 9 Americans who plotted to join ISIS? She's still in Congress.
Foreign-born lawmakers, you don't believe that anybody born outside of the United States should be allowed to serve in Congress? Tell our viewers about your thoughts on that.
Correct. We don't have to look any further than ILHAN Omar or that guy, I can't say his last name, Shri. These are people who've pledged allegiance to foreign countries. They are influenced, I believe, by their foreign allegiance to other countries. And we want to make sure that America is run by American patriots. And if the president has to be natural born, so too should members of Congress. So too should our judges. That's what my legislation was about. But we shouldn't stop there in Congress. Every single state across the country should ban foreigners or foreign-born individuals from being governor, from being lieutenant governor, from serving in state legislatures. We're seeing what's happening right now in real time to Europe, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen here, because once you're gone, there's no coming back from that. And in fact, in the governor's race, we've got someone who's foreign born. I don't think he should be able to run for governor. We don't know what his influences are. And I want to make sure that natural born citizens like the president of the United States, that they're from here and serving our nation's interests.
So would that be retroactive, Congresswoman, in your view? Would you actually throw people like ILHAN Omar out of Congress if you got this legislation passed?
Well, I've tried to throw ILHAN Omar out of Congress and have been blocked every time. In fact, I tried to subpoena her and her alleged husband's immigration records and was stopped from doing that too. I would be fine if we made it retroactive, but at least going forward, if this thing can happen, then for the next election cycle or re-election cycle, it would apply to those individuals who should not be serving in Congress.
Enough to understand that members of Congress can't be impeached. You know, when you have Nancy and Randy saying, you know, we're on it, we're going to impeach her, when they're saying they're going to deport me, knowing full well that you cannot deport an American citizen.
Say to her, I think I wrote it in the back of the sheet. Here we go. She was born in Somalia, right? She represents Minneapolis. The president of Somalia, the Somalian Democratic Republic, his name was Mohammed Said Barre. He really was a dictator. And he ran Somalia into the ground. And as a result, America opened its arms after that civil war and welcomed thousands, tens of thousands of those people to our country, a place of peace and a place of democratic values. And she has the audacity to look us in the eye and say that President Trump is a dictator? It's insane, and it should be infuriating to everybody. And it's the view. It's a lack of perspective about how special this country is. That we have a constitution that's endured for 240 years. President Trump is doing the best he can.
I don't have many things to say to ILHAN Omar other than if you don't like it here, if you think that we're doing such a bad job, go back to the country that you fled. And I know that a lot of conservatives will say the exact same thing. Do not try to mold us in your image. You left that image. Go back. That's all I have to say, my opinion.
First of all, I want to thank our veterans for their service this Memorial Day weekend. And then to answer your question, literally the SPLC, the left, it is one giant grift. We now know that they were funding racism, paying for racism, grifting off of racism. It was one giant grift, I believe, in concert with the Democrats and the Biden administration. And they were going after Christians. They were going after American patriots, American citizens.
Let's talk about ILHAN Omar and her people, the Somalians. Now, Stephen Miller's wife, she made a comment, and she said that the average person who receives Social Security benefits gets about $400 less than the average Somalian who receives welfare. And everybody says, wait a minute, how can that be? Because you actually have to have paperwork, you have to certify. How can they get this much money? But let me tell you, now, I don't know if this is true all over the United States, all right? And I don't know if this is true in other communities. But in Minnesota, apparently, you don't really have to have paperwork, right? You can just tell the government, the local government there, that you have X number of children, and they take your word for it. And you get that much benefits. There's no testing. There's no qualifications. There's no follow through. They just give you the money. And when the federal government started questioning Minnesota and said, hey, we want paperwork to see if these people are qualified, Minnesota said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Minnesota, as a matter of fact, along with other states, are suing the federal government because they don't want to give up the rolls on lots of different things. They don't want to give up who's on their voter rolls. Matter of fact, they're suing about it. So that's how they're getting the money. And I think they said about $750 million in cash went out through the Minnesota airport back over to their country or wherever from all of that tax money that they were stealing from us. That's the Somalians. But remember, let's not just concentrate on the Somalians because that's only one community that's doing all this dirt. But let's pay attention to the Somalians because they were the ones who were the most blatant. And ILHAN Omar, how does she become suddenly worth $300 million? Well, we know money laundering, of course, because certainly it wasn't that winery that sold no wine, that made no wine. J.D. Vance said that he is the new, I guess, czar of fraud. And so he's going to try to pull all these pieces together, right? And I'm looking forward to it because now different agencies can communicate with one another. So we can track this stuff across agencies and maybe we can get a handle on this. And remember, a lot of these fraud prevention laws were turned off during the Biden administration. They knew what they were doing.
Satisfied the requirements needed to pursue citizenship through a legal process. We applied for naturalization because we satisfied all the requirements needed by immigration in order for us to pursue to become citizens. Natural born citizens cannot be deported. Why? Because they were born here. However, naturalized citizens, we can get our citizenship revoked through a denaturalization process. And how that can come about is if we are being pursued criminally or civically. And it has to go through the federal courts.
And that is the question fueling heated debates across social media right now. Supporters say it is about protecting American institutions, Critics say it would exclude millions of loyal Americans who legally became citizens and contribute to the country's every day. But before we jump into the controversy, there is an important fact that often gets lost in the conversation. There is a major legal difference between a natural-born citizen and a naturalized citizen. A natural-born citizen is someone who acquires United States citizenship through birth or at birth. A naturalized citizen is someone who was born in another country but became a US citizen through the legal immigration and naturalization process. Both are United States citizens. However, the Constitution treats certain offices differently. For example, only natural-born citizens can become President of the United States. But Congress is different. To serve in the House of Representatives or the Senate, a person must meet age requirements, residency requirements, and citizenship requirements. The Constitution does not require members of the Congress to be natural-born citizens. And that is why several foreign-born Americans have served in Congress throughout the United States history. So, why does ILHAN Omar's name keep appearing in these discussions? Because she is one of the most prominent foreign-born members of the Congress. Born in Somalia and later becoming a US citizen, Omar has become nationally recognized political figure and frequently finds herself at the center of political debates. So as a result, whenever proposals or discussions emerge regarding foreign-born lawmakers, many people immediately think of her. Supporters argue that citizenship should be what matters, regardless of birthplace. Critics argue that Congress should have stricter eligibility standards, and that's where the debate becomes highly political. Well, can naturalized citizens lose their citizenship? Technically, yes, but not for the reasons many people assume. Citizenship is not automatically revoked because someone becomes controversial or because people disagree with their politics. Historically, denaturalization cases have generally focused on situations involving fraud, deception, and serious misinterpretation during the naturalization process. In other words, the legal threshold there is extremely high. For the overwhelming majority of naturalized citizens, citizenship is secure and protected under the law. This debate goes far beyond one politician. It touches on larger questions about national identity, immigration, citizenship, and representation. Should birthplace matter after someone becomes a citizen? Should naturalized citizens have the same opportunities as citizens born in the United States? Or should certain positions carry additional restrictions? Americans remain deeply divided on these questions, which explains why discussions like this generate so much attention online. Whether you support or oppose the idea of restricting foreign-born members of Congress, one thing is clear: the debate is bigger than any single politician. Now, I want to hear from you guys. Do you think naturalized citizens should be eligible for every position except the presidency? Or do you think Congress should reconsider the rules? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and kindly remember to keep it respectful. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.